Hello and welcome to EUphoria episode 10 ahead of week 6 of the LEC in the spring split. As always, we're available on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Today we had Kamiloo and Carlsen on to talk about, well, healthy habits, healthy progression, how things are going on Heretics, and to give us, I was going to say some spice, but it's kind of some mild takes, but there's a little bit of spice to pulled in there.
There's a little bit of
goes
spice.
hard.
Kamiloo does go hard. He roasts a lot of people.
Yeah,
some of it a little too far. He talked in the intro, but we're going to take it. Let's get into the episode. All right, welcome, Kamiloo Carlsen. So good to have you guys here. Thank you for sticking around after your series. Really glad it was a win. Because I don't know if you know this, but your manager signed you up either way, whether it was a win or a lose.
We were wishing for a win, multiple reasons. I wasn't going to lose. Let's sit through another series. You know,
EUphoria was at the top of that list.
Yeah, of course. That was the main reason why I want to win today, to go into this EUphoria podcast with a good mood. But I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that series? How do you feel about your performance, Kamiloo, today?
I mean, it's a bit gray, you know, because we had some good things and we had some bad things as well. And I don't think that's our best level. So it feels bad to come back from a week where we played really good last week of shares, if I remember good.
For sure.
And then play a bit worse. So yeah, it's good that we won, but as well we could play better.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. But it's mainly so important this game for the playoff race, especially now that we're getting deeper into it. But it definitely wasn't our strongest showing, especially it's looking shaky in game 1. I think we had a bit more as well. Game 2, very slow game, but a bit more like control, especially like in communication. We're a bit more calm about the game.
Yeah, I've noticed the one thing that seems to be pretty consistent for you guys is that, like, I do think that the later the game goes, the more faith I have in you, which is not usually how a rookie lineup works.
Yeah.
Usually it's like once any rookie team gets past 15 minutes, you guys do have some veterans, of course, it's like running around in circles, dying in side lanes, instantly losing the game. But I feel like you guys are so consistent at like finding these angles, finding these team fights in the late game. What's your take on that? Like, why is it that when we go to these late game scenarios, you guys always seem to find a way to close it out?
I mean, I'd say we kind of have this collective consciousness around like always fighting for the win. And we we try our best to assure each other that game is still winnable, even if it looks completely unplayable. We still try to do our best, and we end up finding these angles. Sometimes as well, it's like we can play well, or like we play pretty bad. Like, for example, the first game today, it's we kind of realized during the game, like, we can play, you know? Like, we just need to like play team fights properly. And once that started happening, the momentum as well is a big part of it. Because as well, against Vitality in the second game, we get like one big fight in our base while they're pushing with Nash. And like momentum starts swinging, we get like into a good kind of, not a good mood, but like we're on a good roll, how we're playing fights, and it kind of rolls on from that. I think that's why we make it happen.
Is there like a specific person that is the kind of voice in that team to kind of say, look, lads, we're going to all come together, or like keep that mood elevated?
I think differentiates a bit. A lot recently it's been Flackett kind of telling everyone. I think they showed it as well in on broadcast, like him telling everyone, like, just breathe, calm down. Like reset what's next play, but it's him mainly in game, but something we all put emphasis on out of game, that this is how our mentality, this is how we work. We always focus on what's the next task, what is the next thing we want to do, and not really like dwell on the mistakes from the previous team fight or whatever.
Okay, because like there's been a lot of comparisons that we've tried to draw on broadcast to what like BDS was with Sheo, and it was like, hey, we're going to try and play for team fights and that kind of stuff. Is that something that you find is coming from Sheo, or is that like something as a collective group and with the coach and that you have now worked on? Because like personally, I think your guys' fundamentals is sick. Like, I think you're really good at, hey, we need to push these waves in, we need to reset on these timers to set up around this objective this way, and I think you've got a really good understanding of that. Is that something that came from the coaching staff, or is that kind of like something that you innately as players already had coming into the league?
What would you say, Kamiloo?
I didn't have it for sure. I would say that just overall watching games, learning from others, that's something we did a lot during winter, like watching. I remember that when we faced Koi and Fnatic, we were watching a lot of their games and seeing learning from them. And as well, for me especially, reviewing a lot of scrims and officials with Sheo to like learn a bit more what like for us to be on the same page. And as well, he taught me a lot about sites. So I would say this is a big part of it. But I didn't have it while coming in LEC for sure.
How do you guys look like? how different do you feel compared to when you started in winter as players? Like, do you look back and kind of cringe at the players you were at the start of winter compared to the players you are now?
No, I mean, for me, I wouldn't really like cringe because I feel like even in December when we were boot camping or like previously going into LEC, I kind of had a rough idea of how it would go for me. Like I knew it was gonna be a slow start because I'm not really someone who bashes through with confidence because I really gain confidence from experience. Everyone does, but and now gathering more experience, it's starting to accumulate a bit more. I feel like every week we play, I'm getting like more and more confident. Still, some shaky performances, but overall, just like my general feeling playing on stage. Because I remember like the first few weeks, just sitting on the stage, the chair was feeling off, the keyboard, the mouse sensitivity, everything just felt like too much. Something just wasn't right. I'm getting more comfortable on it. The sensitivity feels right on the mouse, which is a nice thing. Which I realized, there wasn't anything wrong with the sensitivity, but it's more like a mental thing.
It's in your head.
That I'm thinking it's like I'm preemptively making an excuse of why I might misclick something in a fight or I might mess up during the game, which is kind of a hurdle I've overcome now, which I think is also a great part of why we can like accelerate more as a team and start to play better.
It's looking good, especially with Vitality pulling it out. The chances are looking better and better for you guys as we look ahead. Kamiloo, how do you feel about yourself now compared to winter?
I mean, for sure, a lot has been done. I think I was especially really bad in December, Carl.
In December? I mean, yeah. I mean, I remember the bootcamp. I mean, we had some... I was having a good time though during the bootcamp. Me and Kamiloo had some time together, us two and Machuki, our coach in Madrid, before the rest of the team arrived, mainly just grinding solo queue. But yeah, I mean, the scrims were a bit of a slow start in Madrid.
I was going 50 dash every
That was a lot of that.
Well, look, we got questions from the community coming up later, and we'll have more chances to talk to you guys about your team and kind of what's coming up next. But I do want to talk a little bit about the games that we saw in Madrid. It was an incredible weekend. Shout out to the crowd in Madrid. Unfortunately, we weren't able to be there, but some big bangers, and I don't know how to feel about a lot of these games. And let's just start with MKOI generally. Both their games, they won both games. They're the GOATs now? Like, how do we feel about MKOI? What are your guys' impressions? Like, I think there was a crowd buff for sure, but I feel like, is it an overperformance? Are they better than people think they are? People have been calling them maybe fourth place. What do you guys think about MKOI?
I think, it's mixed. The stage being set in Madrid, they had a lot of fans present, of course, does a lot. I think they were playing really solid, but I mean, they've kind of always been like this. Not only like the switching performances, it's either all or nothing. I feel like some of the games with Koi. So when they start to show consistency, which it feels like this weekend at least, the last series before this, I believe was against Vitality, right?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
So we'll see next week. Right? I don't know. We'll see next week. But for sure, I like a really good weekend from them.
Yeah. Do you agree with the inconsistency thing about MKOI, that it's just all or nothing, that some days they're losing to Vitality and some days they're clapping Fnatic?
Yeah, I agree a bit. I also think that for them, being in a stage in Madrid, with like so many people cheering them, is like a huge buff, because I think it's a team that needs a lot of energy to win games. Like they need to be really proactive. That's their gameplay. And the more people are motivated, the better it is. And I remember seeing some of Mirwin voice comms.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's
like this guy was so hyped up,
As well, the fit pic he posted on Twitter after the match.
It was so good.
Fit pic I've seen.
It is insane. What man was wearing. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, lads. Like, I feel like it's a lot about kind of consistency with them. I think I started to see glimpses of it a little bit more, where it was the not over chasing at times, because I think that was their biggest problem, was they'd get these leads and then it's like, we're going to the enemy jungle, and you were like, let's take a chill for 2 seconds and think about this. But I kind of started to see that growth from them, which I think was really good. But yeah, I think it still kind of solidifies to me that MKOI belongs somewhere in the top 4 teams.
Yeah, I think so. Well.
As who everyone else in those top 4 teams are, I don't have a breeze anymore, but at least MKOI are there.
Because that brings us to the other side of the coin, which is GX, right? They beat G2 day 1, lost to MKOI. Day 1 GX looked like a team that I had not seen on stage ever in my... Day 2 GX looked like GX. That was what I expected. Clear moments of miscoordination, bit all over the place. One guy's going in, one guy's going out, whatever. Day 1, they were cracked. They were playing incredible. What's your read on GX? Like, this is a team that has had some good moments. Noah and Jun had, I think, a bit of a better winter now than they've had, but it seems like Isma's getting involved in the team. Kamiloo, what's your read? Jackie's is the solo queue TikTok sensation.
I mean, for sure, GX bot lane is really strong. Like, I think Jun is really a top player on SUP, at least. Like, I feel that he's really strong and really consistent since the beginning of the year. Same for Noah. I mean, maybe sometimes he is a bit lower than Jun, but overall, they are still a top bot lane for me. And, I feel like the top side is not way, but less strong and more inconsistent. So they have as well to be on the same line, as you said. And it feels hard for them, I think.
Yeah.
This seems like a common trend that we're having where teams aren't on the same page. We have, I feel like, 2 variations of teams that are struggling. One where they flip a coin and sometimes it comes up head and they're the GOATs. And we have the one where people just aren't on the same page. People just aren't performing together.
Yeah, I think the problem is as well with GiantX is I think losing Closer lost their voice. He was clearly the guy that was kind of like, hey, they were going to go in and you can kind of rally and listen to him as to what is going to be the next game plan. And it feels like losing him, it's kind of gone. And they've talked about, hey, we're starting to adapt to what Isma brings in, how we can play around Isma. But again, I don't think he's a particularly strong voice on that team. And I think that's where a lot of the issues are. I think when Jackie's gets leads, he can be that voice. And I think that's what really set up GiantX for success against G2 was Jackie's kind of going all right, lads, just play around me, listen to what I'm doing, and we have this road to success. But unless that happens, I just don't think there's someone strong enough to step up and be like, no, actually, I can carry us from behind or tell us where to go from behind.
I stand by my point. If we just look at the first 15 minutes of any Jackie's game, he's kind of the GOAT. It usually goes downhill from there, though. There's usually some deaths on some side lanes. Whatever amount of pressure or ganks he absorbed usually end up not mattering because it's a coin flip if he's going to die or not. But, I mean, I feel you, Rob. I feel you.
But I'm kind of on, the question for me is kind of more on the opposite side. What is happening with G2? Because I feel like for GiantX, it was kind of okay,
you still
played
beat G2
very well.
Great.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, great weekend
but
for them. They beat G2.
This Hwei pick for Caps keeps coming out. I haven't been impressed. Maybe we can get your input on what your thoughts on Hwei are, but it has not looked good. And I don't think it's really fit into the role that they were hoping to. And even some of the stylish picks we've seen, the Yasuo brought out, this Orianna getting 4 kills in the early stages and not being able to do anything with it either. There was a lot of things on this team where it was actually G2 was looking at going, why is your coordination going out the window? This is not the team that you expect to have those issues.
Let's start with the Hwei, because I like that we have mid lane picks and top lane picks. We're ready. We need the responses here.
I mean, I think Hwei is a bit situational, but I'm not a fan of it into Azir, because you need to put pressure on him on early, but it's not that easy if the Azir plays good. And as well, it's you're trying to match front to back against Azir, which is the GOAT of the front to back. It's you can't really do this I mean, not that you can't do this, but you have to have some better things in draft than on the side. And I'm just overall not a fan of Hwei if it's not picked against some specific champs.
Because when even my eyes, it was I always saw when it was the Vi Hwei or something that was Vi goes in and then we severing both the QW right on top of her. And that's why it kind of felt weird to see it kind of pop up without that facilitator, because I nearly felt like Hwei needed that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about what G2 had in mind, but as well, I feel like right now they're kind of searching for what draft can be the best for them. They're kind of trying a lot of things. The Gragas mid, the Hwei, and maybe some synergies that can be a bit weird, but they are on the path to search for what is the best for them.
Are they It's interesting because I feel like if this was a lower tier team, we'd just say they were choking it in draft. But because is it fair to say because it's G2, we're like, they're trying to find the path. We believe them. Like, because that Malphite game was rough. The Gragas mid game was rough. And it's like, it's Caps' Gragas mid. So you're like, all right, there must be a reason that it came out.
What did he play it into? I forgot.
Aurelian, no?
Aurelian.
Yes.
I mean, I think when I remember when Aurelian Soul got reworked, it was a counter or one of them.
But I think he picked Gragas first.
Yeah,
he
blinded
picked the
it.
Gragas
Yeah,
blind.
It was Aurelian Soul. Yeah, Gragas first.
That's what I was like, huh?
Don't listen to me. Whatever.
I thought
Whatever.
maybe it's a flex, but they were blue side, so.
I mean, overall, I just feel like the Gragas pick was not the best into the draft. Like they had some clear engage, and I don't think it's the best. Like you kind of wanna receive and split people with Gragas. You don't want to be the main engage even more on mid, I think.
For sure.
Are you guys as a team good enough that if someone plays Gragas and someone else plays Zyra, that you guys like won't mess it up? Do you trust yourselves? Would you draft that kind of composition?
I trust ourselves to not draft this.
Well, I mean, fair. Yeah, so I mean, do you guys believe in G2 to bring it back? Here, I think easy transition here, actually. Let's go to our next segment. Rate it or hate it. Unsurprisingly, there'll be a G2 take. These are hot takes, sentences pulled out of a hat. I made them up before we started the show.
Okay.
So you have to tell me if you agree or disagree. And in this case, agreeing means you rate it. Disagreeing means you hate it. G2 will not make MSI. Rate it or hate it, boys.
Wait. Current form. Current. Okay, yeah. Future possibilities of whatever. Current form. Rated.
Current form, rate it. It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Actually.
Makes a lot
I think
of sense.
it's looking really hard for them. With what I've seen from the last 3 series, it's been one thing is like it's more so how they were losing because it feels like they're missing the spirit in a way. Like they're not really. I mean, of course, some drafts were kind of iffy. Looked a bit weird, but it felt like they weren't fighting like they usually would. Like usually G2 with how they play really good on side, it's hard to play against them because they are usually just so smart around the map. But they kind of just also ended up in even state fights where it's just losing positions. And I think they just look in a really rough spot right now. So I'd rate it.
Camilla.
I'm not sure. I think could be both, to be fair. Because I do see them losing one more match, maybe, and being like on the lower side of the playoffs. But I think they can be back. But as well, I also think they have a bit of like they have some players that are really clutch, and they have some players that can choke a bit. So I'm not sure about how it will even out.
Do you want to name some names there?
Camiloo, who can choke? Who can choke?
I'm not gonna say. But I don't know. I feel like G2 overall and their players are really strong individually, but sometimes they kind of miss out on what they want to do. So I think they could go as well on MSI and be really strong, as much as they could completely not do it and like fell really short.
I would be very surprising. I'm going to say, I think obviously Caps can be clutch. He's only had, I think, one universally recognized slump in his entire career, and that was 2023 MSI era. So I don't think that maybe it's Lebrov that you're talking about, because I stand by the fact that first week and that finals against KC, he had a big stinker of a series, and I never, like, choker is a very brutal label to put on anyone, because anytime you do anything wrong, they'll call you a choker. So I think that in high pressure moments, he hasn't lived up to some of those expectations. I am worried for G2 because we just talked about MKOI being like, hey, it's a coin flip. Are they going to show up and be the GOATs or, be a hot mess that week? And I kind of feel that way about G2 right now, where sometimes they come in and you see the genius. You see those games where even if they fall behind or lose a couple kills, I watch teams play against them, and you guys have probably experienced this, where they're so good on waves that every time they fight you, you feel like you've already lost because there's a wave there ahead of you, or they're never there when you're like, okay, guys, we're ready to fight. We've got our items. We're ahead of you, and you just never get that opportunity. There's still those games, but a 3-loss streak is kind of unheard of. And while they did certainly scale in winter and get best of 5s, blah, 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 clutch players, This is the worst I think I've felt about G2 in quite some time.
Yeah, I think the game that really shocked me was Game 3 versus Giant X, where you have Oriana with 4 kills. You have, now admittedly it is into a Poppy, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but you still have Jarvan and the Rakan that should be able to set up for these easy shockwaves, or at least get you engages that do, or even just like play for position in objectives. So you're like, hey, put the ball into the choke point and wait for them to walk over. Like, there are ways that you can play this out, but the team just looks so disjointed. Like, there was so many one-man shockwaves on champions that were already essentially dead. It just felt bizarre. And I think that was my biggest worry. Went, okay, this isn't just a, hey, they don't know how to get leads, or they don't know how to do one thing. There is a systemic problem here that just isn't working for them. And that was more of a worry for me, where I went, oh, okay, this is now alarm bells ringing for G2.
For me, the main problem of the G2 right now is that they are still really good at playing macro and waves, as you said it. But they sometimes have big blunders in team fights. And as you said about this team comp with Rakan, Oriana, and Jarvan, I think you can't afford to have some of these blunders. And I think that's the main issue of the current G2.
It's crazy to think of a team that being their weakness, right? As a team, obviously G2's changed rosters like 50 gajillion times by now, but the one thing that they were always good at, even when the macro was questionable, when they were winning everything, was like these intense individual mechanical moments and outplays. So it's a very different era for G2. Rob, do you rate it or hate it? Do you agree that G2?
Yeah, I'd be surprised in current form / caveat / asterisk /
just say yes or no, we can clip it out and get vitriol in your DMs. Come on.
I don't think G2 are making it to MSI. I think it's clear that there are teams that are already ahead of them. Like, I'm looking at a Fnatic that are on the rise. KC, I'd look towards more likely to figure out kind of the early games and get back off the slump to get there. Even Movistar Koi look in a better position than them right now. So it's hard to say that it'll be G2 when it's only the top 2 teams that are going to go. So at this stage, I'm not convinced that G2, unless they make this miracle run in playoffs and all clicks together, that they're going to be there.
That's fair.
I think they will make it.
You think they will make it? Yeah. You think that they will make it?
Oh, we will. Who? One of the two.
One of them
it's
gonna
you
be us,
or
bro.
G2, right?
Yeah.
There's no other. Who's the other team that isn't you or G2 going, since you both can't go?
I'm not sure. I mean, now it's too random.
I mean, we're very far away. We haven't even started playoffs yet. Next statement. Jojo Pune, incredible mid lane week, is now a top 3 mid laner. Jojo Pune's a top 3 mid laner. Kamiloo, let's go to you first. How do you feel?
I think Jojo heavily underperformed during winter. And I think he's back to playing good, mostly. Even if he still has some blunders, but like a lot of people, so I don't really mind. Is it top 3 though? I don't think so, but I would put him around top 4, top 5. Because for me, Caps, Nuke, Vladi are like not in order, but they're holding the top 3 spots. And like I don't see someone really taking the spots right now.
Nuke over Humanoid. Why isn't Humanoid in that top 3?
I mean, I don't know. He's not showing up that good recently, I think.
Yeah.
While Nuke is showing up really good. Like, for example, the game against G2, I think he's really... I mean, I think he's always the main part of why BDS wins. So I would put him here.
Strong performer.
I'm going to say that I agree. I mean, I think as well, with Kamiloo's statement about who are the top 3 right now, I think for sure that Nuke has been like a big part of the successes BDS have had this season. And of course, Caps. And Vladi has been really good this year. I think though, Jojo Pune's performance, especially here this week in Madrid, was looking really good. I mean, big step up from what we saw in winter.
Yeah.
Just not this Silas.
That's what I was going to say. After the Silas game.
That was a Dookie Silas game.
Did you guys see the graphic? We had
I saw that. It was like 4.5k gold.
4.5k gold on pink wards and pots, bro.
Yeah, I think we need to reword this. Is he a top 3 support in the league?
I don't know. Niski's in there, bro. Competition's getting tight.
But I think Jojo had a big step up this weekend, but I think it's hard to say he's top 3. I think it's been consistent performers that are already ahead of him. So If he continues on this trajectory, fantastic. But I
Yeah.
did see a comment that was just like, look, it feels like JoJo, when he has the crowd behind him and he's on these big stages, does come alive. We saw it a lot over in LCS or LTA when it happened as well. So it may be that this is kind of the environment he needs to thrive. And I'd be curious to see when he is back in the LEC studio, what that's now like.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if you can, if you're, let's say the average is, whatever, let's just say 80%, and you only get 100% when there's a big crowd
Yeah.
in a league format where you
Exactly.
play.
Yeah.
Most of your time you're going to play in a studio or at least a smaller venue, regardless of where you're playing in the world. That's a tough sell to me.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough. Hopefully we can see more than that because he's not going to the KC event in 2 weeks, so we won't get another chance to test.
Yeah.
Sadly. We'll have to see, though. Last one. Vit will be a top 4 team. Vitality are my favorite team to talk about. No one has any clue. Half the people I talk to think they're just a mess. I've heard that they're interesting in scrims. How do you guys feel about Vitality? It's entirely based on this series that we just saw today. We had them on the podcast last week. We learned absolutely nothing because all they did was meme. They called your support the worst support in the league after Niski, but they did first say that Niski was 10th, and then they said never mind. So how do you guys feel about Vitality? What are your thoughts? Because someone needs to explain to me if this team is going to do stuff or not, because they didn't. No one else seems to be able to.
I mean, maybe in the bit of the same boat as you guys as well. I mean, I don't know. Top 4? I don't see it for the split. But I think, they show glimpses of like really good league with the fights they find. Like in today's series as well. I think especially individual performances, like Nako, last 2 series has been brilliant in my opinion. So the way they just like find fights, even in the game I was casting today, the first one.
Yeah, there you go.
They have very low let's say engage. They don't really have many tools against like a full front to back, full scaling, and they were behind, and they still find these fights, which just shows you have as a team they have like a good eye for the game in a lot of these cases, but sometimes they run it down as well. So for me, I wouldn't say it's top 4 for the split.
How do you guys stop yourself from sprinting it in game? You guys seem like a exact opposite team to Vitality. There's a decent amount of discipline, I feel, for you guys.
We kind of always have focus on like communication. What is the next play? Because otherwise somebody might be running around in a position they don't want to be in. And as well, once some things go wrong, like we take a bad fight, which to be fair, it does happen.
It does happen.
It does happen. It's not like we're not the clean team.
No.
Not yet. We're not there yet. But
Still one step at a time.
But still, we have like a good way of stabilizing the game. Flag it especially, like to calm down, remember how we want to play our draft after we play like a bad fight or something. So we always try to like stabilize, make sure everyone calming down, thinking about what's next play, and never really because otherwise sometimes it can be like full snowball effect if you play like one bad fight and you're just like scrambling trying to find something again on the map. Where we reassess the situation. We lost flashes now on carries, so we have to play different, something like this. I would say that's the main thing.
I like that glove, but a little bit of a side tangent. What's your thought?
I think that overall we're really good at cutting losses. Like as well, it comes from our game plans as well, because mostly I think our game plans are discussions, between Shio and some. Most of the time me, because I will be the strong side most of the time, and we are discussing and we know what each other want to do. And for example, when we start losing, Shio will go kinda into full clear mode, which is fine, and then we are less proactive, but we also play more active. And I think we are good at just overall cutting losses and knowing what we want to defend, what we don't want to defend, and when to pick our fights. I think we pick our fights really wisely when we are behind. When we're ahead, and when we're even, it's a bit messy, but when we're ahead, it's fine as well.
So it's interesting for me talking to both of you, because very often, in order to make an impact and an impression to get up to the LEC, you kind of have to be a bit of an ego player. Like you have to be a little bit flashy to get noticed.
Yeah.
Or there's really good scouting, but very often the players that most people are known that they know are the players with the biggest, flashiest plays. So when they come in, there's always maybe a little bit of ego, and that's where a lot of the time these game plans fall apart, right? you can't, cutting your losses is great when everyone's like, when there's no ego on the line, you know, whatever. All it takes is one person. I'll say an 80 carry now just because I know Flackett has no ego. I've heard a lot of 80 carries being like, nope, sorry guys, we're getting me to 3 items. I need every single wave. Like we're playing around me and it all collapses. Like, do you guys have that urge? You both sound very chill, very humble now. Do you have that urge sometimes to be like, I can outplay this guy? Like, screw cutting losses. Dead ass just looked at his mid laner.
No, I mean, when you said I can outplay this guy, bro.
I do have this I can outplay this guy mentality, but when I'm behind and I get stat checked, I don't look for it. Like when I'm behind and I get stat checked, I'm just a chill guy. I don't want to lose more, and I hope my team will help me. You know.
I would say though about the ego thing. We have a thing in the team. Ego is the enemy.
Yeah.
Book by the author Ryan Holiday. Me and Kamiloo both read it in Madrid during the bootcamp. So we fight against it. We try to stay objective around the gameplay and the work we do. So yeah, no ego.
Is it hard for you being Mr. Weak Side? Kamiloo just mentioned before that he's more often than not strong
Yeah,
side.
I mean, I've played professionally for a while before being this. It's usually, it's not even mostly about like weak side, because this is more when we get into like mid game with how draft works. I mean, today we have like what will play go on? Talia, right? We have a Talia. If this guy is being left alone on side, no resources, no teammates, no proximity.
Yeah, I'm dying.
He's dying. It's gonna be a rough one.
Waves, don't worry.
So it's more like, it's fun. It's the nature of the game. If I'm playing even if I'm playing Ambessa, more of like a carry top Kamiloo, I'm the one who has the tools to get a wave on side alone and still survive. I can escape ganks more easily. So it's fine.
I'm sorry, Carl.
Last question. Spanish fans are louder than French fans?
Oof, no.
Yep. Oh, you just said no. I thought you were going to say no as no comment. You're French, of course. But you play for a Spanish org. Oh, and you didn't even struggle. You didn't even hesitate for a second. You're like, no, absolutely not.
Oh, Spanish are louder.
I didn't. Guys, when I give you the keys to launch the nukes and start World War III, you're supposed to say no comment and move on. You're not supposed to say hell yeah, let's go.
I'm French. I'm gonna answer.
I mean, that's fair. I didn't forget that, but now that you said it aloud, it does feel stupid that I say that. We're divided down the middle.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say Irish are better, so I'll move on next. Yeah.
Well, when we get an
all
event,
3 of us,
when we get an event in Dublin, sure,
there will be dozens of us. We will come out of the woodwork together.
There are no comments I have to follow up on that are not problematic, so I'll just let that go. Entirely a meme.
Shout out to the Irish League of Legends scene, yeah.
Not that you're seen as a meme. Never mind.
It is. You're good.
Yeah, whatever. Look, anyway.
I have to be biased because I did like LFL days. As a spectator, and I was like between the 2 biggest teams, which were at the time KC and Solari.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle, so it was so much noise. And then I went to the KCX, the 3rd one.
Yeah.
And it was like crazy as well. Like it was so insane.
I love those events.
So of course I'm biased, and I'm French as well. I can't.
Yeah, of course. No judgment at all. It's a bit of a bummer for you guys because you're a Spanish org. And you're 3 out of 5 French, and you're not going to the French or Spanish roadshow.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
I mean, it is what it is. That's all I'll say.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Fine.
But I would have loved playing on stage, in front of so many people.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel? I don't know. I'm not clued in enough on your guys' past experiences. Have you gotten to play in front of a larger audience before?
Once, and the biggest ours was Spanish finals in spring LVP finals.
Yeah.
Crowd was, I believe, around 1,000 people.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, was the biggest I had. I really liked it. I wasn't choking. I was coughing. Like you were mildly. I was mildly. Mildly in like
the
mildly,
mouse sensitivity was off.
And,
mouse sensitivity was so off, and it's so hard to describe.
But I really loved it. I think it's like while I was sitting there, it was more like it felt like the reason I'm doing this in a way, Yeah, it felt everything, like every single emotion I have playing a game, even if I'm playing like online, playing from home when I was in other years, it's just like it was just amplified by like 100. Like everything just felt soso much more real. So I mean, I can't wait to hopefully
Yeah,
get to go to
I hope
another
for your
one of
sake
these
too,
events.
man. These big crowds are awesome. Kamiloo, what was the biggest for you?
It was these 2 days. So
Yeah.
I was in LFL too, and you have one time per year. Okay,
Yeah.
one time per year event where kinda like LFL days or the thing you mentioned, Carlsen. So it was in front of 300, 400 people, so it's less. But it was a really nice event, and I completely love it. I think as well a bit of the ego takes over when I'm playing those because I become really cocky in my playstyle, and I love it overall.
I understand. I've talked to a lot of pros over the years who are like, you're playing in scrims, you're playing in LEC Studio. There's no part of you that says, I'm going to outplay that guy right now. And then there's, a couple thousand people in your ears. And you're like, I have to outplay this guy. Like, it's just, I have to. It's not even a choice. Like, my body is just moving before I'm going in. And whether it's a good play or a bad play, it's just, you have to stop yourself. It's like when people drive and they listen to really hype music. And it makes like the amount of car accidents just increases. I feel like it's the same thing. When the vibe is right, you just have to go. But yeah, I hope you guys can both get that experience. Bummer that it didn't happen this time around. But I'll move on to some community questions. First up, Diego Jimenez. Not sure which if I'm getting the J there, if the J is an H there. So apologies, Diego. What was the most difficult thing to adapt to an LEC for you as a rookie? And to strike to both of you. So whatever you guys both think, or individually think, excuse me.
Yeah. The hardest part for me about coming in as a rookie was, for me personally, like the pressure I put on myself. Because for all this time, like when I first got into like esports, I started watching was when I was like 11. And when I started watching LEC when I was like 12. So I've been watching it with the intention of I've been dreaming.
How does that feel, Drake?
No, we're not going to talk about it. Don't interrupt the story. Please continue.
So what I realized is like what I said though, like with like coming into this, like same shit, different toilet. Like I'm still just playing League and I'm scrimming, I'm playing officials. But I'd always put like this was it
was on a pedestal.
It was on a pedestal for me. Which is a good thing that like being able to reach it was like, of course I'm so happy about it. But it's a balance, right? Because of course it should bring me joy that I get to play on the stage. But in the beginning it was like threatening my mind in a way, I didn't really find the balance, and I had to kind of get over it, which I mean I'd say I've gotten there now where I can fully like enjoy it.
What did that kind of look like? Was it like second guessing whether you understood a matchup or you could make a play, or what did that come through as?
I think it was kind of like for me, I mean it kind of going into the fight or flight. More so, let's say a game gets kind of rough because games would get rough, especially in winter. Because to be, I mean, quite frankly, the quality of our gameplay not the highest, so many teams would be able to get ahead of us, right?
I do remember that.
And then
we did not phrase it so nicely when we talked about it on the podcast.
I mean, fair enough.
It was rough. It was a rough winter.
Rough. But and then it would kind of be, in a way, like hard to like critically think, what do I want to do, and like focusing on next task. Because in my mind, I know I have to sit in this chair, but I remember like on a run, just thinking like I want to run off the stage and just like not play, because I don't know what to do. Or like of course I have an idea of what I want to do in the game, but I couldn't. Some weird way of not being able to take action, and it's full all mindset. Like it was all in my head, but at the same time, like I still had this feeling of I knew I'm gonna figure it out. Which I always keep this mindset that, okay, I might be feeling like I'm in a shit state right now, like mentally, or how I feel shit about how I'm playing. But like, what actions can I take outside of the game that will impact for tomorrow, and how can I make it better? And like always focusing on what's the progress of like taking a step forward in this matter if I don't feel like comfortable in it. And
now you feel like you've hit a better state? You don't want to just sprint off stage?
No, not at all. I mean, it's more, this also, I knew it would come with experience as well. That more times playing on stage is going to start feeling like standard as well, This is how I play officials. I play here on the stage. But as well, like, there's a difference between not only like gathering the experience, but truly I try to like fully take in like a match, Try to, the evening off, after the match, the day after, on my off day, like truly reflect and also write down things like emotions I felt during the match, states of the game as well. How do I feel? How can I, doing under a pressured situation, how did I act and how can I improve on that for the next one? So like really using every single experience I gain on the stage to actually evolve for the next time I go on stage.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like you have a really healthy mindset in general coming into this, because even like before the podcast, you're like, hey, I'm keeping a bed routine, I'm like waking up and doing my stretches. Now you're writing down your emotions. It like genuinely just seems like you have a really good knack for understanding how you can approach things in the best way. It's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I think that's where like I try to put some like kind of the emphasis on making sure like I'm straight, I'm good, and like the emotional aspect, because especially when this means a lot to me, I'm gonna feel pressured. I need to know how to like handle these situations. But if I keep myself like in check daily, I know as well, then I can just fully focus on just playing well and just playing the game. So yeah, I constantly like daily try to keep myself in check, so I can just play League.
Yeah, fair play. It's really cool.
This is insane to me because you're 19, and when I was 19, I dropped out of college and was drinking 4 monsters a day working a minimum wage job, and I did not have that mentality. I was like, I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna play League, and I'm gonna. Well, drinking wasn't legal, but you can imagine that might have not deterred me at 19 in the United States. Okay, that's the healthiest mindset I've heard. I have many follow-ups to that, but they're not
out
about
of
League of
anyone in
Legends.
esports, honestly.
Yeah, this is the craziest thing. That's crazy. Kamiloo, what was the thing that you would have to do, Jess? I'm just going to 100% pivot away from that because that's going to take us down a deeper mental health road that we do not have time to explore. Kamiloo, what was the hardest thing for you to adjust to?
I had to lower the pressure I would put on myself because I have really high standards for my work ethic and my gameplay as well. I mean, and my performances. And my performances were not up to what I want. Because, of course, I want to be a top player in this league, but it has to go step by step, And by the winter, if I put myself the usual pressure I would put myself on for my performances, then I would just go ballistic and go boom, So I had to lower that while keeping really high standards, but I had to be less harsh on myself for the first games.
Yeah. So what was that process like for you? I mean, Carlsen talked a little bit about like similar struggles and talked about just wanting to sprint off stage, but I remember a lot of your games being like you were very visibly struggling. Like there's a lot of League of Legends fans and viewers out there who won't who understand the little things like bad resets but they understand getting caught, they understand dying, and you had some rough ones, man. So what was that experience like in those first few weeks? Like who on the team helped you get through that? Was there like was there a break point where you realized that was the big problem and you started to work on it, or did you know from day one like this is going to be a problem?
I mean, I knew that a lot of things were going to be problematic because the thing when you take such a big step, in once, is that you have so much things to work on. Like I had to work on team fights. I had to step up my lane, which was not even the worst part. I had to as well just overall step up my sides, which were disgusting. Like I had no idea how to play. No, not for real.
Yeah,
for real. I had no idea how to play. So like I would come in review, as well in December, and I would explain what I thought, and it made no sense, legit. Like with a view back on what I was saying, it made no sense. And so it was hard, but you just have to get through it and use for me, the bad feelings, I would just be hateful towards myself, but I would put it at good use by putting more energy in solo queue, more practice, seeing what I needed to do. And it's like, I knew that I would come into official, I would mess up on this thing, I would work it for the next official, then I would mess up another thing, but it's just the cycle. You have to keep improving on what you mess up.
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes, but it's a lot. It's a lot to try and improve on multiple things at the same time.
But I keep taking steps forward, so
that's good. Do you guys look back with pride now? Like you talked a little bit more about trying to celebrate and appreciate the little things. I know it's hard because it just doesn't stop. There's always more League of Legends. There's always more scrims. But do you look back at like who you guys were in winter, how you were playing, look at how you're playing now, and go, "Wow, I'm a much better player." Like that is an achievement, or are you guys like, "I don't have time to stop. I just have to keep going."
I think I try to, in general, like think back or like reflect. For example, like you said, how I was playing in the beginning of winter. It's like a good way reminding of like the progress you've made recently, last month, or even like the last year. Sometimes I'll think back to like past experiences. It's really a good way to like kind of know what's ahead of you as well, or like a motivator to keep going. Because like maybe like, for example, even if like in winter, if I felt like I was playing bad, I could think that 1 year ago I was playing even worse. Like I was just a worse player in general.
Yeah.
So just assuring yourself that there's this growth, I think is like a very healthy thing to do, to keep growing. So for sure, it's something that I try to do.
You feeling kind of similar?
I don't do it too much because I mean I don't do it with pride because I'm at the point I wanted to be right now. So I'm like on the curve that I wanted to be on. So it's like fine. I didn't. I'm not under it. I'm not over it. I'm on the curve that I wanted to be on.
So where's that curve end this year? What's the goal for you specifically? Like where did you want to be? I'm assuming at some point you wanted to get to LEC. Bam, you're here. Now there's little milestones like playoffs. A lot of pros just say worlds. The same way that every caster in the world says cast world finals. Yeah, like obviously we all want to win worlds, but like what's the goal for this year?
I mean, the goal for this year for me is to like enter the top 3 of meets that I was talking about before. And for the team, I would say that it would be to enter the top 3 in playoffs so that we can qualify to Worlds and have our first experience on it.
And finals week in Madrid.
Finals week in Madrid.
In Madrid.
Yeah. That would be fire. What's your goal? Same thing? Top 3 individually?
Well, not really. I mean, I have a thing with like I don't try to set too many like end.
Yeah. You want to live in the moment. Sure.
Because I'm more like fully focused on the progress. If I focus daily on like being the best version of myself, and then I kind of see where do I end up at the end of the year. So I don't really have like a set goal. I can still have like minimums, like I will be inside the top 5 of top laners, like for certain. I don't even think it's like worth saying that. It should be more like a given at that point, right? I don't really have like a end goal for this year personally.
Okay. What's the best version of yourself you've seen in scrims or on stage? If you were that person every day, could you beat the top 3 top laners?
Right now?
Right now. Not saying you have to like.
No, I'm trying to think of like all the
Could you beat them? Yeah.
Could I beat them? Yeah.
Could you beat them? Yeah.
I can beat them. Yeah. I can compete. Yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah. That's sick.
Yeah.
That's cool. And again, someone's going to take that out of context, and every time
it's
you lose,
they're going to be like,
best
top player in the world.
Well, you know exactly who's going to take that out of context because your number 1 fan was on the caster desk with you today. He keeps calling you Zeus. He's single-handedly, he just makes narratives out of nothing. He's like an alchemist for narratives, and they stick. And he just is so unashamed, and he just does it. Like, shout out to Jake, our boy Hysterics, who. And this is the thing is, it shouldn't be a thing, but it is a thing because. One of our most upvoted YouTube comments was from Blurb3668, which says, "How does it feel to be the next Zeus?" So it's stuck, my guy. You're not escaping it.
In case you didn't see it, they showed it to Zeus.
That was goated. That's great. I mean, I don't know what the video said, but that was like, that was really funny. Like seeing it this morning. But they were like, but it was like they were watching like the TV, but it looked like it was like a news section.
Yeah, like a news segment that was like, this came up. People were,
that's all.
I can't imagine. It depends on if people got if it was a joke or not.
Yeah.
Because I remember we made a joke about the VCS once, and they did not think it was a joke. And people were very mad about at Ender for whatever reason for like 6 months.
Yeah.
So I hope for your sake that people don't get it's a joke.
People will.
I think.
But it was composed entirely of true statements.
Well, that is fair. Yeah.
So it's not really a joke, technically. Those are just all factual statements.
True.
Yeah.
We can disagree about the conclusion that was drawn from them, but the foundation of the argument...
I don't know if we can, to be honest. I think it was very clear what the conclusion was.
You outmatched Zeus in a lot of metrics. It's like Kamiloo outmatches Chovy in a lot of metrics. Most of them LEC related, but that's not important context. At some point we'll get that like Man City money and Chovy will end up in LEC, and then we'll finally get to start doing some tests. Last question for the day from TH Hiato at Hiato with a lot of O's and an O08. Hidden talent / ability, presumably ability. Yeah, hidden talent / ability that they have. We talked before the show, and I know you guys are both classic young pro players. Lots of solo queue, lots of practice, not a whole lot else. But is there anything, at some point you weren't a pro player. You did something else with your lives. What was it? Or do you have any secret talents?
That was when I was like 12.
Yeah, what were you doing? Were you like, I don't know,
I mean, I did
fencing?
Swimming.
Swimming?
Yeah.
Could you outswim Odo? Because I've got a great idea for a content piece. You have youth on your side.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been actually swimming for like a long time. So I did swimming. Hidden talents. I don't know, mate. I play League.
Okay, it's fair. It's a very visible talent, but we'll take it. Kamiloo, anything that you've done? You do play an instrument? Do you like to sing? Do you like to anything, man?
I was doing a lot of sports before becoming pro player.
Yeah.
I did 7 years of swimming, 7 years of tennis, and 2 years of volleyball. It was so good.
Damn. Do you do any physical activity now? Either of you guys?
I go gym recently.
I mean, I do like stretching and exercise in the morning when I wake up. So like, body activation stuff.
Okay, fair. You're clearly you're like the neurohacker, biohacker kind of guy. You're like trying to get everything. You're getting the psychology right. You got to eat right, all that stuff. Which respect. We need to make Odo swim against these boys.
Yeah, I know. I'm so ready.
Wait, and Rob. God, you wouldn't guess it because Rob is a big dude. Rob is fast as hell.
Yeah. Actually, you know why I stopped swimming? Because
Why?
like back then I was even smaller than I am.
Yeah.
Because for reference, I do like 1.70 m.
Yeah.
And back when I was in before high school, I don't know how to say it.
Sure.
But I was around 10 to 12,
Yeah.
and I was doing like 1.30 m, I think. Like I was really little, you know, one of the smallest in before high school. And so I went up to do some swimming against a guy that was like 1.75 m. He was taller at 13 than I am right now. That's crazy. And this guy, we were going the same speed when I had like 6 years of swimming, and he had like 1, and I was so tilted.
Yeah.
It's like I was getting bodyguarded.
There's nothing you could do, bro.
Yeah,
That's why League of Legends is great.
But
You know? Short
So
of
that's
anyone
why
who's got wrist injuries. You're not getting body gaps. Maybe mental gaps, maybe, maybe any other, a lot of other gaps.
At least I can do what others do.
Yeah, hell yeah. Compete at the top level, bro. We need to have a contest, Rob. I forgot you were also the go to swimming. We went to, whenever we travel, sometimes there's pools at the hotel. I swim with Chronicler from the LCK when we get a chance. And Rob was like, I used to swim, and I didn't think anything of that. I do my start, I'm going to swim 1 lap. I'm not a good swimmer. By the time my head comes out into the water, he's on the way back. And he's a big guy, and he's fast as hell. Like, it literally, I cannot see your legs. I just assumed you had strapped a motor.
Well, that's the thing. My legs have to carry me around, so they're fairly strong.
I get it. That makes sense. The math does math pretty well. And once you're in the water, the weight, no longer an issue. The strength remains. So, fair enough, brother. I was caught off guard. But yeah, the LEC swimming competition coming soon. Probably not. There's no way we get it approved. But maybe we can make it
Hysterics
happen.
will find a way. There'll be a narrative that he throws out of the world that requires it.
Yeah. Then we'll need to have the Zeus Carlsen swim off. That's where, or the Chovy swim off. We'll never get it cleared, but a man can dream.
Something about champion pool in there. We've got this.
We'll tie it to League of Legends somehow. We'll figure it out. Next, we got an exciting set of matches coming up this week. The following week will be the other Roadshow, so a bit of time in France. But this week coming up, we have a couple of bangers. Before we talk about your guys' matchup on the Monday versus Fnatic, which is very important for you guys, especially in terms of hitting your more long-term goals, making worlds, etc. Beating Fnatic would be big, but also just really comfortably locking playoffs. I'm pretty sure you're there. But I want to talk about KC. They're playing Rogue. They're going to win.
Yeah.
But I need a reason to talk about KC because we haven't really had too much of a chance. We've hit on them a few times. They were the odd man out this weekend from top teams. What are your guys' read on KC? Because similar to G2, they have dropped some games. I think you probably should have beat them.
We should.
Can we want to talk about? Let's flash back a little bit to that series It's
It's crazy to do
it's
this.
game 3.
It's game 3.
You've drafted entirely champions that start with S, except for Aatrox for some reason. Sejuani, Silas, Swain, Senna. You've cooked up some crazy stuff for us. I like it. And then you kind of just get double 80 carried, and it just looks pretty unplayable after like 20 minutes. How did you guys feel about that series? Rob's got the receipts.
I felt bad.
I felt bad for this implication. But like, what were your thoughts on the series? Do you guys think that you could have? I feel like you could have taken the win.
Yeah, I mean, the
Very
thing is,
winnable.
like, we could have definitely taken the win, but it was more so, I mean, it was good and bad in the way that it felt like it took like this much more effort to actually pull it home. Which, I mean, feels like shit, but also good as well, because we started to actually like show pretty good play in that series as well. We were like full proactive compared to KC. They were mainly just receiving in most of the games. So yeah, I think it was still really good to have a series like that against a team like KC, even though they in that series, I would say, weren't at the highest level. Was like, even though it was a loss, I still think we gained a lot from it, both in experience and also like playing this proactive on stage, which we hadn't really shown much of before. I'd say it was like very impactful series for our season, even though it was a loss.
Has it changed your perspective on KC at all? Having played against them, having taken the edge, you said yourself they maybe weren't in the best form. Like, what is your read on them right now? Where do you think that they sit? Are they number one? This is kind of the big debate right now. Is they won Winter, but a lot of people still don't trust them to be the number one team.
I think their main strength is that they are really good at team fighting. And I would say overall their early games are not the best, but that's since the winter. Like they were already dominant without having the best stats early game. So I think early game is definitely one of their weak points. But I also know from what some of their staff said in interviews in French.
Yeah.
So I will translate it
Oh,
to you.
hell yeah. Thank you. We appreciate the hookup.
But they basically said that after their trip in Korea, after playing HLE and as well the LPL, like they wanted to play a bit more early game related comps with some Akalis, some Sylas, things like this. And that, I mean, for me, it makes sense that they're a bit less dominant right now because they are working new things on new things. And yeah, for me, it makes sense. But I still think they will be really strong for this spring. They just had some bad days and some as well hollow faces, I guess. Like they're working, you know. Like you have to see it.
Okay, so there's no chance of a rogue upset here.
I don't think so.
I highly doubt it.
I
So
really
I
doubt
highly
it.
doubt it.
Rob?
No.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what I thought. Not to give rogue credit, they did beat SK. They also beat Vitality, who again are a enigma wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a mystery. Who knows how good Vitality are? Good enough to beat BDS, bad enough to lose to Rogue. They could beat anybody. Sorry. I'm always excited and also horrified to talk about Vitality. I just don't know how to feel about them. Back on the subject of your game, though, potentially more interesting territory. You guys versus Fnatic.
Yeah.
Humanoid, not in your top 3 list, sir. So you're gonna stick it to him? What's the deal here? What's happening there in mid lane? What are you worried about? He's got his Azir. He's got his Yone. He's got some other picks that are a little bit less scary, but those two are pretty scary.
I mean, for sure, his Champool has some scary picks. I won't say which, of course.
Sure. Yeah. Play cool. I feel you.
But I think overall, if I get to choose what I want, I can put him in difficulty. I am worried though about Fnatic's mid game because I think their early sometimes is a bit messy. But on certain champs, like Azir, for example, I remember some performances of Humanoid where they play always through Humanoid with Razork and Mikix.
Yep.
And they lock the game really fast by giving him a lot of resources. And Azir with resources always hurts a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have really strong points, but they have also clear weaknesses. So it's up to us to play good, I think. And also, it's a bit up to them to play bad, because when they are in a really good form, I think they are really top contenders of the LEC. Yeah. But most of the time, they are not in really good form.
That is a very very succinct description of Fnatic, I think.
I mean, I'd mainly agree. Yeah. I think we can definitely beat them. For sure, not an easy match. And I think we're still like expected to lose in substance. That sounds crazy to say when I'm the one playing, right? But I think we can for sure like hit our day. I think we can for sure take this game home.
Yeah, I think that the top level Fnatic is a very scary beast when they're cleanly executing, when they're all on the same page. They look really tough. But as you highlighted, there are some weak points in the game, certainly.
We didn't really see this Fnatic since like week 2 or 3 of the winter. Like I remember it was week 2 or 3. They were insanely good. And then in playoffs, they fell off so hard. And since then, I didn't see them being back on the level they showed.
Yeah. I'm kind of waiting to see it. I think the mid game is the big improvement this split, where it's not just the games where human.
I mean,
like the games
they're
where
still
human,
really strong.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. I don't want to. How are you? You coming on the podcast? You're shitting on Fnatic? Oh, whoa! We just said they're the worst team in the league. Oh, somebody clip that. No, you're good. Yeah, but it's hard for me to say. I think that mid lane is a mixed bag because some days I think Humanoid Razork are like the most terrifying mid jungle in the league, and some days they're desynced and it looks rough. Top lane, I'm curious how you feel about. Oscar played a really weird ass Cassante game this weekend. Like
he played Cassante?
He played. It was
game was it?
Game 1 versus G2. He played it into Jax.
Oh, it was not good.
That one I didn't see.
Yeah.
To be fair, not yet.
It was
one to review. No. It was bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah,
is this champion still playable? That would be my question.
I feel like it's playable, but
obviously don't want you to give away anything.
No, yeah, of course, but no, I mean, you can see it from LEC everywhere. Nobody's picking it because it's just, I would say between like A and B tier, but even with Fearless, when we're in BO3s right now, there's just so many other good champs in top lane right now. So many more solid blinds. Some people also going for more of the creative picks, you know, but it's more like before it was like, oh, Cassante into Rumble. You're fine. You neutralize the lane and you should be okay in fights later. But they also now, with how after they did the change last fall in like October, which is way more like stationary. He's not dashing around, doesn't have as high mobility. So he's way more focused on just straight damage output and just being really tanky. And as well, I mean, I believe they did the Q nerf a while ago, so his early game is a bit weaker, which was like the big strength of this new Cassante that came into this year, was that he's stronger in lane, but he has less outplay potential and less all-in timers. Like he has less wiggle room, right? But he's just stat checking you because he's just so strong, and his W, insane one shot. But especially, I think as well, people are just better at playing against Cassante because you bait out that W once, and he's just he's just standing there.
Yeah, and the moments that we saw from Oscar, not to throw too much shade without context, was it felt like he pushed his W. Well, he didn't end up pushing it half the times where he died, or he pushed it very late, right? Because it's also damage reduction, which I think is something that people overlook.
Big damage reduction.
The unstoppable part is what made him so broken for so long that he was just ungankable.
I mean, it was also sad when he played it into MKOI, Jace, and Pokevirus. It was just
that's what I mean. Like with the thing is, especially if you're playing drafts into Cassante, with a lot of the champs that are being played right now, is champions that can force Cassante W without committing. Yeah. You have like Talia combos. You have, if Asia is just walking up and hitting the Cassante, you gotta go out. That's like, you know, you don't have really many tools to deal with because you have nothing to engage with as Cassante. You're not really good at like going in deep. You're kind of really relying on winning lane, but you're a tank. So most of the time you shouldn't really be getting ahead in lane. So I think the champ is just in general kind of in a rough spot.
Finally.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted that champion. It's disgusting. The other nerf that got showcased beautifully in that game was they went for a tower dive. He ults, and then he can't cancel the ult for the tower shot that kills him. So the balance team got a lot of dubs in that particular series over poor little Cassante. Was not great for Oscar. I don't think we'll see it again. I hope not. It was hype when he could 1v5 as a play-by-play caster, and ever since then, when he hasn't been broken but has just been really strong, I have never wanted to cast this champion.
Yeah, it's a little sad.
Yeah, complete side Cassante tangent. Quick hits on other matchups, just some rapid fire predictions before we close out. Fnatic versus BDS. Thoughts?
Ooh,
Depends on draft.
depends on drafts.
Oh,
I'd say
guys,
Fnatic. No, but like, okay, listen up.
It always
no.
depends
I'd say-
on
No,
depends
not
on who
the
shows
usual
up
way.
on
No,
the
but
day.
like, more like-
Depends on.
I'd give it to Fnatic though. Still.
I would give it to Fnatic, but depending on some picks on the BDS side, I would give it to BDS. But most likely Fnatic.
But yeah, the BDS picks though are if like Fnatic are just giving them the picks. Like, because I've seen sometimes where they leave some champs open. Like
You guys
some
are trying to play it
comfort
so
picks.
cool. You're
No,
trying not
but
to
like-
let your
No,
information
like-
through. But you also
Yeah.
have to play Fanatics. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
more like Fnatic, if they still like treat BDS with respect as a team, you know, don't
Yeah.
give them their comfort champs and like the drafts they want to get.
100%.
I think they should just be
I
better.
agree. Don't give Nuke his Tristana.
Hey,
Well, I'm just going to say a random chance to try to get a reaction out of you, see if I get that information. Okay. Other one is GX versus BDS, G2 versus Vitality.
Oh.
Those are
GX
both
BDS will be a
BDS.
funny one to watch.
GX versus BDS will be a
that
messy
will-
one.
I mean, if GX continue with some of what they showed in Madrid, I think that might be a bit more of an interesting match. If you ask me like a week before that, I'll just say BDS and go next, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'll actually be interesting because GX showed a bit more play, a bit more firepower, you know? There was a bit more life in them, you know,
yeah,
during
look at you.
Madrid. So if they can translate that into the LEC, I think that one will be interesting. I think Vitality G2, Vitality can win that one. Like,
I know,
Vitality
it
is
shouldn't
a
have been
banger.
close. Again,
I saw it was they were playing, and I was like, I think Vitality will win. Actually,
last week, this would have been the easiest two predictions of your life.
Yeah.
yeah.
This week, who knows? Anything's possible. What do you think? GX, BDS, close. We kind of agreed. Who you leaning towards?
I'm gonna say BDS. I think it will even be 2-0 from BDS.
2-0
And
BDS.
Yeah.
I will say 2-0 from G2.
Susi from G2.
I don't believe in the Vitality.
I don't either. I don't know what to believe. They could
Okay,
win though.
yeah,
I
I mean,
won't be
it
surprised
might-
when they win.
Okay,
Yes.
if you told me Vitality G2 at the beginning of the split, like with 0 matches official, I would have told you Vitality.
Just what? Because they were. Did they just roast you guys in scrims? What happened? Yeah.
A bit. But they showed so many good things in Scrim, and then they showed so many bad things in official. But I hope for them they will be able to, show what they showed us.
We gotta get that Carlsen mindset. Everything that it's a chance to learn. It's a chance to improve.
And
All
we
those
did
things
learn, we did improve.
You learned, you improved. They are learning. Hopefully, they'll improve for this one. Who knows? Rob, those two series: GX, BDS, Vitality, G2.
BDS, and then I'm just gonna say G2, but I'm kind of all over the place with what Vitality can bring or what G2 can bring,
Yeah, it's weird. This
Yeah.
is the hardest predict match of the entire weekend,
which is crazy.
which is
Like,
crazy.
yeah.
Fnatic BDS is the only one that's close, and Fnatic. For the first time in a long time, I have more faith in Fnatic than I do in G2.
Yeah.
Which that's not going to end well.
No, that's how
Literally
heartbreak happens.
That's how we end up with that finals where they were $1 million ahead and then lost every single game. Anyway, we'll have to see what happens. This week coming up, week 6 of the LEC. After that, week 7 will be the next roadshow. So brace yourself for more incredible action. Thank you guys again so much for coming on the
thanks,
show.
Jay.
It was
Thank you
a
as well.
pleasure
Thanks
to
for having
have
us.
you.
Invited.
Yeah, enjoyed your cast today.
Yeah.
Analyst desk segments. You guys have done it all. So shout out to you. You're making the LEC better. And good luck in your matchup against Fnatic on Monday.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, hopefully locking playoffs. Hopefully we can just stamp that one before we head into the final week of the split. We'll find out. Regular schedule, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, starting at 5 p.m. Berlin time. Be there, and we'll see you next week for a new episode of EUphoria.
Bye.
Goodbye.